Good afternoon and welcome to Bajerski wherever. I'll stick it everywhere. This will go everywhere. Okay, for those who don't know who I am, I became a healer many years ago and I started to understand pain in an emotional sense, physical issues in a disease kind of sense. And I started understanding the burden, the problem, the reaction and the action to the reaction, the blocks, the deep traumas, and understanding energy to its highest level because of my clients and what I was seeing. So I bought something today because I saw it in a shop and I thought this is a really good example of the years of practice and what I've come to see when teaching students who come to the academy or online. And it's a great analogy, I think, a great observation to see this, and it might actually be one of the most important things that you've ever learned in your life. It might actually help you along your journey from all the knee-jerk reactions, from the countless hours of asking the question why, how, when, where. And I think it's a pretty good explanation, so let's get straight into it. I'm going to show you something now, and yeah, I just bought it. It cost a few euros, but okay, so there you go. So this is an example of you. It's your life, it's everything. So this is the action, okay, and this is the reaction. Okay, so root cause of everything and what actually happens at the end of that moment, that in between. So basically what that means is when you come to me and you are suffering from cancer, or you come to me and your leg or your foot is in great pain, you come to me with your eyes almost blind, you come to me with a throbbing headache constantly, you come to me with a mind that is slowly slipping away from remembering anything, you come to me with gout, you come to me with tons and tons of labelled disease, illness. You come to me with suffering of an emotional trauma. You come to me with what you believe is depression. You come to me when you think you're in heartache. But all of these things are this in a world of a healer. Because a healer is listening to you talk about this, or a healer is shown this. But what you don't understand, guys, is this is meaningless. It is only the cause of this. So a healer doesn't look at this. They pay no attention. If they did, then X would always mark the spot, when in actual fact, X never marks the spot. So your illness is X, but we look along your physical body, your nervous system, all of the thoughts and feelings you have, till we find the reaction, the action, everything that you do to begin with. So we look for where it began. Where did that suffering start from? Well, a healer would scan the body and feel, and they're normally led to a certain point in the body. Me, I was curious when I first started, and I kind of explored all aspects, and I didn't want to leave anything out. And surely enough, to begin with, the brain always triggers first and says, no, 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 it must be there. So I've mentioned to you a few beautiful souls before. One of my beautiful clients who had the name of my mother, Marissa, came, and she had a really bad foot, and it was kind of twisted slightly, and she'd struggled to walk. It should be like this, but it was kind of twisted like that, and she struggled to walk. So initially when she came, I got my oils and rubbed them all over the foot and started doing the healing work. Somewhat felt strange because there was something going on in my heart, a battle. And when we'd finished, she went, and I always felt like I'd missed something. But the brain, as usual, kicks in and tells you, no, it was there. And over the months, I realised that X doesn't mark the spot because you're not actually fixing anything. Yes, you're making the foot better and it's healing that particular place, but like a doctor, you never actually fix the root cause. You're just band-aiding a certain place. And I realised that's not a true healer. So then I started to open my mind and not look for explanation, not look for this is it. Look for alternative understandings. Could it be that this foot, could it be that there is an issue somewhere along the leg, through the body? So as I scanned and I was looking, I found that my hand was at the back of the head, and it was burning, burning, burning. Of course, I'd rubbed the massage oil on, which was a very beautiful healing oil, cleansing oil, and I'm at the back of the head working, thinking, wow, there's something happening here. When Marissa left, she said she was a lot better. So the foot had gone like this and she could walk easier. So I realized that tension had created this tight. But when I'd released it from here, it released it from here. So I realized, okay, what I was led to believe, X marks the spot, doesn't. So then I went even deeper and started healing that, and we discussed certain energy in that day, and then we discussed the week, and then we discussed the year, and it soon became clear that the issue wasn't of a physical nature because of what she'd eaten or what she'd not eaten. It wasn't a deficiency in the body. It was stress. And stress is one of the biggest causes of illness. So I started looking into it a bit more, and as we communicated, it was really evident that the problem was with a lot of people as well. And they're normally in denial, or they're in a situation that they just can't get away from because they couldn't see a situation other than the one they're in, is that the work situation that she was in was extremely challenging. And when it's challenging, it's like that. And you can't keep going like that because it's going to affect everything. So you're going to have to learn to let it go and release. And this is what we did. And how did we do that? Well, we measured what was more important, which most people don't do. And what is that, Mark? What did you measure? Well, we looked at your life. Marissa, is your life about walking in pain and suffering in the mind and in the foot, and probably in a few months or years elsewhere. And maybe one day you won't be able to walk at all. And maybe if you continue like this, the stress, that grip, just like you would grip a tennis racket all the time, or the handlebars of a bike or a wheel of a car, eventually it's going to take its toll. And it's going to cause great reactions. One of them being physical, but also it can cause emotional reactions. Is your job more important than your health? Well, anybody with an ounce of sense, or anybody who's been through illness and disease, and a problem where they realise that everything now has fallen apart, because if you haven't got your health, you can't work. And it's only that penny drop moment, or you actually end up in that situation, that you actually come to terms with realising that your body is more important than anything in the world, than any partnership, than any relationship, than anything. So she decided to take a leap of faith, which is always a challenge, to just leave the work and find something else to do. It's going to be stressful as well. But if you continue doing what you're doing and you can't change that, if you don't feel that you can change the environment because somebody else won't change, then you can't fix somebody. You can't fix a partnership if they're not willing to listen. So there's only one alternative: make the move. Where I'm going with this is that every time somebody came to me with a so-called illness, oh, I've got a bad back, I was never working in the place what they told me, because initially the problem always starts, in my humble opinion, somewhere where you can't see. And thus it takes a healer to find that energy, find where it is, ask what it is, see if it's, how do I put this right? Ask what it is first of all. What is this energy? Where's it coming from? Ask, is it possible to heal without discussion? Sometimes it is. Ask, after I've healed it, will that situation come back again? Because the client ain't always permanently in that position. These things are really interesting questions. And ultimately I found that by giving a healing session and going to the root cause, once you've cleared that root cause, it brings a new awareness in that person's life for them to measure what is peace and what isn't peace. And if you've been for a healing session with a healer and you've brought back inner peace that you haven't felt for 20 years, 50 years, and all of a sudden you realize that this is not the life I want to lead out there, and this what I'm feeling now is what I want to feel, and then you can compare your life as the pain and suffering that you're going through to this new energy, and then you come to a decision of what you want to change in your life. But what I'm trying to say today is the root cause is ultimately the most important thing. Now, once you understand this, you might start to think about the reactions of other people. You see, a reaction of somebody who punches you in the face is this. But that punch is just the reaction or the action to this. What was the trigger from that person to punch you? Well, first of all, you have to ask yourself, were you judging them? Were you saying nasty things? Did you hit them over the head with a hammer? Did you do something that made them react? No, they just reacted. Okay, therefore they reacted because they punched you emotionally or physically. They punched you because of what's happening in their life. So you realize that it wasn't me. And most of the times when you're attacked by people, it's because of something deep inside them. a weakness that cannot be shifted because they don't feel strong enough to shift it. A blindness because they choose to turn away from their truth. They choose to turn away from looking at their life to try and better it and make themselves stronger and more powerful and happier. But it's easier sometimes to ignore that, to choose to ignore it, and create a diversion in somebody else's life by reacting to somebody because you're upset because of what's wrong with you inside. And you could do that as well. I could do that. No problem. We could all do that. Because we all have that in-hurt reaction because we haven't fixed everything inside us. That we still feel bruised and battered from the pain of our mother who might not have loved us as much, father who may have been abusive, brother who may have been jealous, or you may have been jealous, or whatever the experience we went through. But I think this here is a great example of realizing that life is kind of simple when you realize that this is different from this. This isn't the answer. This isn't the explanation. This is just a knee-jerk reaction. But this is the answer. And this is the explanation, and this is what we've got to understand.